All right, we're getting ready to start the meeting. If everyone could come and be seated, please. Good evening, everyone. This is the City of Dania Beach regular meeting on April the 14th, 2026. It is 7:01 p.m. City Clerk, may you please call the roll?
Mayor Davis.
Here.
Vice Mayor Salvino.
Here.
Commissioner Llewellyn. Commissioner Romoli.
Here.
Commissioner Ryan.
Here.
City Attorney Bootsas.
Here.
City Manager Garcia.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, City Clerk. We're going to veer from our regular meeting, and before we begin tonight's commission meeting, I would just like for everyone to please rise. She's going to do her speech. We are deeply saddened by the passing of Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer of Coral Springs, who we learned of her tragic death on April 1st. Vice Mayor Mateer was a beacon, a bright and beautiful light, one who represented the very best of us and the very best of public service. She led with dignity, integrity, and a deep commitment to good governance at its core. Many of us had the privilege of knowing her personally through shared events, conferences, our collective work, advocating for local government and communities we serve. Her presence, as you can see, was a very powerful light. Her spirit was genuine, and her impact will be lasting. Nancy's light was rare and beautiful and will be deeply, deeply missed. But as her fellow public servants, we now carry a shared responsibility to carry that light forward, to lead with the same love, kindness, passion she showed for her community. To honor her, not only in remembrance, but in how we serve each and every day. Let her light continue to guide us. This will be our tribute and our call to action going forward. Tonight, we extend our deepest, most heartfelt condolences to her family, the Coral Springs City Commission, the Coral Springs community, and all who had the honor of knowing her. Her funeral will be held on April 17th, this Friday, in Coral Springs, where we will say our final goodbyes. At this time, I ask that we now bow our heads for a moment of silence in remembrance and reverence for Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer. Thank you. just, yeah. If we could come back to standing for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was very nice of you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
You guys can speak in
Yes, just a little preamble.
Oops, so Dr. says she makes it.
City Attorney, if you would still do our statement of decorum.
Any persons who decide to, excuse me,
Shorten it.
thank you. Individuals who wish to make any citizens' comments under that portion of the City Commission agenda who otherwise want to address the City Commission must first be registered with the City Clerk. Others who want to address the Commission on any matter must be recognized by the Mayor. All such persons must use the podium in the Commission chambers, no more than one person at a time. All comments must be addressed to the City Commission and not directly to the audience or city staff. No individual shall make any slanderous or unduly repetitive remarks or engage in any other form of behavior that disrupts or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting as determined by the Mayor. The Mayor often allows applause through during ceremonial or celebratory portions, but not during public comments or individual items, as that could be considered as intimidating of speakers. The Mayor precludes clapping, applauding, heckling, or verbal outbursts during these other portions of the agenda. No signs or placards shall be permitted in the Commission chambers. If any person's conduct as determined by the Mayor is found to be disruptive or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, the person may be asked by the Mayor to leave the Commission chambers. If the person does not leave and the conduct persists, the City Police Department will be requested to escort the individual from chambers. All cell phones are to be silenced during the meeting, and all persons are exiting the chambers shall do so quietly. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. And now we will move on to our presentations and special event approvals. We have item 3.1, Smart Strategic Growth for Community Development. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City team, residents that are here with us today, and residents that are watching at home. It gives me a great deal of honor to introduce to you three of our top senior leaders and subject matter experts that will be doing a presentation for us. Since last year, we have taken very proactive steps, knowing that there's going to be significant changes coming from Tallahassee. We lead by example. We're a very proactive group of individuals, and we are led by the priorities of this commission via their adopted strategic master plan. And one of the top priorities for our city is to be financially sound and to be ready for the challenges of tomorrow, today. We have seen what staying status quo and being reactive versus proactive has led to a tremendous challenging situation for Broward County Schools. Broward County Schools for the past decade or so has lost 40,000 students. The loss of 40,000 students equates to a loss of $352 million. But it's only today that they started to take the steps to correct that. So for the next 3 years, there's going to be a loss of approximately 3,000 personnel in Broward County Schools. Additionally, to make up that revenue, they are looking to float a referendum for the next 3 years. We don't ever want to find ourselves in a predicament with what's coming with Tallahassee in regards to the possibility of the elimination, gradual or immediate, of taxes that's going to really hurt us to the tune of somewhere between $2 and $10 million. So what have we done? We have come together to be proactive and come up with ideas, not only to generate revenues, but also to save monies. And we started that last year. Many cities are starting this year. We started last year. In our 2026 adopted budget, there's a savings of 10%. We lead by example, and today I'm very excited to be able to present these three top leaders in our team to do a brief presentation. And we are going to start with our Deputy CFO, Barbara Trinka, who's also a resident of our city, a taxpayer here. She's been living here with her family for over a decade now. So thank you, Barbara, for leading this presentation. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Madam Mayor.
much. Good evening. My name is Barbara Trinka, Deputy Finance Director. I'm also a CPA and a very proud resident of the city of Dania Beach. So thank you. So as we begin this presentation, I want you to think about what makes Dania Beach so special, right? It's our hometown feeling, amazing beach, our vibrant communities, the safety that we feel, our beautiful parks like C.W. Thomas, and our amazing community activities like Dania After Dark. So what makes Dania Beach so special? It doesn't happen by chance, but rather through long-term and smart investments that the city has made. This is part of the vision you see there, which is the City Commission's adopted strategic plan that got updated in 2025. Next slide. So why is this so important? Why is Barbara Trinka up here in finance? The reason is because we've kicked off our budget season, right? And so as we set priorities and make funding decisions, we always refer back to our strategic plan. It's our guidebook to ensure our budget aligns with our long-term vision. Next slide. So I also want you to think about how the strategic plan intertwines with our everyday quality of life expectations. How safe do we feel, right? Safety and security remains our highest priority in alignment with the strategic plan, right? But this is not achieved by chance. I'm going to keep saying that. It's not by chance, but rather the result of decisive and deliberate funding decisions. Next year, public safety, that's going to go up 1.7 million. At least 1.7 million. Next year, we're going to spend $47 million on public safety in 1 year. Why? Because that's part of our strategic plan, right? The strategic plan also guides us in funding our critical services, like clean water. It's why we have a strong infrastructure and maintenance program, which is our commitment to fund stormwater improvements, streets, sidewalks, maintaining our pipes, our parks, beautification, tree canopy. It goes on and on. It's why we fund special events like Dania After Dark, and why we have a public art program, because of our strategic plan. With that said, sustaining this level of service requires reliable and intentional funding sources. We have to ensure that these funding sources are in place to support these ongoing commitments and to support our quality of life expectations. So quality of life is not free, it's funded. So in light of our budget season kicking off, it's important that we analyze some of these revenue sources and take a look at our revenue projections, and not just for today, but for tomorrow. Next slide. A great place to start is taking a look at our building fund, because it's primarily driven by development. And so what happens is that year over year changes in revenue really can tell you how quickly you're growing or how quickly you're contracting, right? And it's also a great predictor of future construction and development potential. It also signals other revenues like impact fees and public art, which we're going to talk more about. And very importantly, it tells us about our future increases in ad valorem because of growth, right? They're all interconnected. So we're going to look at this graph really quickly, okay? So the blue column is our budgets. The orange columns are revenues, right? And that green line that's coming down, that tells us how well we're doing against our budgets, right? So what this illustrates is that the building fund had a lot of great years. Between 2021 and 2024, we did exceptionally well. In fact, some of those years, our revenues exceeded our budgets, right? But in contrast, in 2025, we really see that revenue decline. And 2026, we see the pace of collections even slowed more. This is very important, right? Because you're going to see that sharp green line coming down. And so for fiscal year 2026, the building fund has only collected 20% of what they expected to through the budget process. We're halfway through the year, right? So in light of this, even the end of last year, we already started reducing expenditures, like for contractors and where we could. We've already done that, right? But the truth is these revenue and these cuts, they're not going to bridge that budget gap. That's not going to happen, right? What that tells us is that we're relying on our reserves to have a balanced budget, right? So very important to note, this trajectory wasn't entirely unexpected, right? Why do we know that? In 2024, we did reduce some height and density, and we did some changes in to zoning. But I think it's important what the graph shows us, what it illustrates. It's impactful to see. So the next, we're going to take a look at impact fees and the art fund, which are both entirely funded by new development. Similar to the budget fund revenue graph, this graph shows us that since 2021, we've seen a steep decline in revenues in both impact fees and public art, right? So why don't we think about what impact fees are, right? They're one-time fees charged to developers for new construction, right? It's to cover their impact on our existing system. We're talking about roads, parks, and public safety. It's important to know that many of our capital initiatives, like the Parks Master Plan, were also funded by these impacts, right? And the public art program, as we know it today, is only funded through developer contributions for now and into the future. If you take a look at that graph in 2026, it's very low, right? And this is important as we strategize about expanding and distributing art, public art, throughout our city, right? And we also have to maintain our current pieces. All right, next slide. So given these constraints, honestly, we need to pivot. For instance, rather than investing $7 million in Olson, maybe we really need to allocate that to PJ Milley, right? Because by the way, PJ Milley right now has no designated funding for that project, zero. Another example is in lieu of purchasing new fire trucks right now, what can we do? We can extend the useful life of our existing fleet and plan for those replacements in the future. So it all comes down to financial planning and budgeting. Really big picture here, revenues declining, expenses increasing, commitments increasing. So maintaining status quo is not an option. And as the manager mentioned, Broward County Schools, when we think about, it's the lack of proactive approach, right? It's not making those timely decisions because problems only get bigger through time. But not like Broward County, we continue to see growth in our population, right? We see greater participation in our programs, and our services, what we provide, continues to grow. And at the same time, we're faced with serious proposed tax legislation, which could immediately impact our financial position. So based on the proposed legislation, if we do nothing, stay status quo, our general fund will run out of all reserves in less than 5 years. So that's not a long time span. In fact, a lot of our initiatives that happened over the last 5 years, they were very dependent on these revenues that come from development, all right? So with that said, I don't want to give the impression that we're doom and gloom, right? That's not where we're at. Rather, we want to develop a strong financial plan through the budget process that focuses more than ever on smart, strategic growth. All right? All right. Okay. Up next, we're going to hear about some parks and recreation projects.
make the mic a little higher for me. I'm Cassie Warren. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. Dania Beach is truly a transformational city. When I came here, I saw the vision Dania Beach had that other cities were lacking. Over the last 5 years, we've been blessed, and we've been able to continue to elevate and invest in the quality of life throughout our cities and throughout our parks. In 2023, as you'll see on the slide, we were able to cut the ribbon on 3 parks. Tootie Adler Park, which was a complete reinvestment of the park, completely rehabbed from start to finish. This was a grant-funded project as well for $721,000. Then you have Melaleuca, where we redid the whole play area for $213, investing in our community, increasing the surrounding property values of that park. And finally, to Mildred Jones Park, we invested $88,500 into that park to bring new exercise equipment, quality of life, getting our residents and our community active. Next slide. Then in 2025, we again were able to invest in parks and open the ribbon on 3 additional parks. William Bill Harris Linear Park, we invested $147,000 on to again upgrade all of the exercise equipment, make sure the shade sails were in quality condition. We added turf, investing in our quality of life of our residents. Mulliken Park, another FERDAP-funded park for just over $1 million. This park has become crazy popular since we've opened it, and once again, increasing the property values and bringing people to our city. And then finally, IT Parker for $850,000. This has always been a premier location. We now made it a premier rental site on the inside, and we are drawing people to it every single week. Next slide. Finally, just cut in February of 2026, the C.W. Thomas first phase of our Parks Master Plan for $23.1 million. This park, it was a transformation to our community. We just found out today that the C.W. Thomas Summer Camp has sold out at 50 participants. That's 20 over any other year until this facility has come to life. Tying this all back to our strategic plan, we want to continue to invest in these parks and recreation master plan projects. We want to continue to bring this added value to our community. Next slide. Now I'm going to go over some of the unfunded parks projects. PJ Melly is our next phase of our Parks Master Plan. This park is in the design phase right now. However, as Barbara mentioned, this $32 million project currently does not have any funding allocated to it. This park is over 60 plus years old, and it's our only active play park in the city west of 95 for our community. Then we have Olson Park, which is our land lease with the Olson School. This is a $7 million investment. Due to the instability right now with the school board, maybe we do, as Barbara mentioned, shift the partial impact fees that we do have in this project towards the PJ Millie project, because we just don't know what is going to happen at that property year in and year out. Frost Park, the third and final phase of our master plan. This park needs to be designed still and then constructed, which we estimate to be another $16.5+ million. And then finally, we just purchased the MC Frost Historic Home, which we would like to maintain the historic piece to on the exterior and make it a great rental property for our rental area for our community to come out and enjoy. This is going to be another multi-million-dollar project for the city. As you can see, that's over $55 million of unfunded parks and recreation master plan projects that provide a quality life services to our residents. It increases our property values, and it draws new residents to our transformational community that we pride ourselves in. Increased residents allow us to seek additional grant funding, such as the funding we received for Tootie Adler. As well, additional impact fees could potentially help these unfunded capital projects become more possible, continuing to enhance our parks, our events, our activities, art, and other things for our community. And I'm going to turn it over to Corinne now.
Good evening. I'm Corinne LaJoy, AICP Deputy Director of Community Development, and I've been working at the City of Dania Beach for the last 24 years and have city planning experience of over 30 years. Thank you to my colleagues for setting the stage for me. So smart strategic growth provides us an opportunity to manage our growth in a way that's meaningful for Dania Beach. Next slide. How? By concentrating our opportunities in strategic locations, we can protect our neighborhoods and untouched natural environments. Next slide. The what it looks like is mixed-use development, which creates community character, like the ones on the screen, which are all things that we desire: the walkability, the small family-owned businesses, pedestrian-friendly streets, and nearby amenities. The why. Smart strategic growth allows us to achieve the things we want. Having that small community, being able to walk to local businesses like Three Sons or Jackson's Ice Cream. It reduces traffic, reduces commute time, improves quality of life, supports local economy, protects the environment, and protects our neighborhoods. Doing nothing doesn't work. Barbara from Finance said the same thing. If Dania Beach maintains the existing trajectory, traffic from Hollywood will still increase trips on our streets. Dania Beach will feel the impacts of development in Hollywood. While you can see Hollywood allows 23 stories, we are not recommending that for Dania Beach. Some other things that we see in Hollywood is that they have pre-entitled intensities in their zoning districts, which allows higher building, but that provides predictability and certainty, which developers crave. They also allow 22-story buildings, which are approved and being built today. Hollywood at Young Circle is only 1.5 miles from Dania Beach, and it currently has mixed-use development that's ongoing and being built and exists around Arts Park with a combination of retail, parks, and cultural ventures. And like we said before, doing nothing doesn't work because we see the development and what's happening in Hollywood, and all that traffic will come through our city as well. Not all uses are the same. This data was borrowed from the RMA presentation and identifies how some uses generate many more trips than others. Residential, office, and shopping centers have low trip generation rates. Some examples of those would be Dania 101 or the Celeste projects, where fast food and convenience stores have high trip generation rates. Examples of those would be a Starbucks or a 7-Eleven. Smart strategic growth allows us to focus on our desired uses and activities. The next slide. Each district in the city is different and warrants a unique approach to harness the opportunities that are available. This graphic shows the City Center zoning district, which is outlined in the blue. The fire station number 1 and City Hall are identified on the graphic for orientation purposes, and Dania Beach Boulevard is the road that runs between the two of them. The area identified in yellow offers the greatest opportunity for smart strategic growth. The area runs from the railroad tracks on the west to the east side of Federal Highway, from Sterling Road to Old Griffin. And one of the key components of this slide is we are looking at where the opportunities exist. We're not identifying the entire district. The entire district is larger than that yellow area, but this is where we think the highest opportunities are available. This is the South Federal Highway Mixed-Use Zoning District. Again, the district is outlined in blue. The area runs from Sterling Road south to Sheridan Street. Federal Highway is the spine that runs down that district. The Mad Arts and Hitching Post mobile home parks are identified on the screen for orientation purposes. The southern location marker is the Hitching Post. Opportunities are best available on larger parcels, which in many cases will require land assembly in the zoning district. The parcels identified in yellow are existing 1-acre parcels or larger, which represent the greatest opportunities in the district today.
A similar analysis will be required for the East Dania Beach Boulevard Mixed-Use Zoning District and the Gateway Mixed-Use Zoning Districts. The analysis is ongoing, and we're envisioning like a maximum height in the city center of 14 stories. In this district, the South Fed, we're thinking a maximum height around 6 to 8 stories, but again, that would be on the 1-acre parcels. We can encourage smart strategic growth through the use of incentives. Incentive framework will create certainty, which developers crave. We also have a history of successfully implementing incentives because we've done it in the past. Incentives would encourage and create new smart investment opportunities. Impact fees create revenues to fund the quality of life initiatives that are outlined in our strategic plan. In order to change our financial trajectory, we're asking for consensus from the City Commission to reinstitute incentives to increase density and height in strategic locations. As the Finance Department presented, impact fees like those for parks, public art, public safety are directly tied to smart strategic growth. Without new construction, we have no impact fees to implement the city's strategic plan. Should the City Commission ask staff to reestablish the incentives, the next steps are identified on the screen. The first, staff would hold individual meetings with the commissioners to review staff's proposed incentive language. The second step would be public hearing at the Planning and Zoning Board for a recommendation to be made to the City Commission. The third step would be presenting the Planning and Zoning Board's recommendation to the City Commission for first reading. And the fourth step would be to hold public hearing at the City Commission for second and final reading. That concludes our presentation this evening. And at this time, we ask for a consensus from the Commission to move forward.
I do have an issue with the steps. I don't have a problem moving forward with that, but I do think that we should have a workshop instead of one-on-ones. I benefit from hearing the intellect of my colleagues, and I like to be able to bounce ideas and come up with different ways of brainstorming together as opposed to holding the one-on-one. So that's the only issue that I have with moving forward. Commissioner Romoli.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also very interested in moving forward with this, at least with my consensus, and talking more about this. And I just want a clarification on how the process would work if we move forward. If my understanding is correct, we do 3 public meetings, 1 P&Z meeting.
Can you put the next steps back up, please?
The answer would be, it would be 3 public hearings.
3 public hearings?
Yes, it would
okay,
be.
Then we have a P&Z meeting.
P&Z and 2 before the City Commission.
So the public
First and
meeting,
second reading of the ordinance.
when we have 3 public meetings, basically that's an opportunity for us to collaborate and talk and listen to feedback.
Predominantly for you would be the 2 public meetings before you. The first one would be before Planning and Zoning, so I don't think you're going to be collaborating there.
Okay.
But before the City Commission would be the 2.
Okay. And then lastly, there's the one-on-ones that are being suggested here. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Llewellyn.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I don't know that we necessarily need a workshop for this. I think it adds an extra layer that may not necessarily be needed. When we do the one-on-ones, I know that we each have an opportunity to say what we think is good, what's not good, what we'd like to change, and those options can either be added in or kind of thrown out as additional options, I know, as they speak to each of us. And I know when I've had one-on-ones in the past, it tends to be very effective because we are bouncing things off of each other with our own individual ideas. And then if something has, maybe I've come up with something that's different than what you've come up with, for example, Mayor, and then it might be a couple of options that we can talk about and see what we think might work best. So even though it's not, I think workshops are hard. It's hard to get scheduled, and I like to reserve them for certain things like budget. Budget, I think, is a big deal. This is something that has already kind of been, it's halfway baked, it's almost there, and I think we just kind of need to put on some finishing touches before it goes to the next step. And I hate to see us add an extra step, another extra step, in order to hear each other speak when we're going to do that at a public meeting anyway. That's all I'd say.
I appreciate your comments. I just disagree, and that's fine, and I'll let Commissioner Ryan to go ahead. I just think the RMA meeting that we had was very proof of how when we collaborate, we talk, we figure it out, and I don't have to have my comments filtered through just one department. We figure it out, we talk it out together, and we come up with the solution. So that's just the form, and it adds to me an extra layer of transparency as opposed to having what I say be interpreted by someone else. Thank you. Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have a couple questions. It was a good presentation. I would have liked to have reviewed this presentation before it came before us so I could prepare it. You know, we have our meetings with staff before this, and you know, this is a major item on the agenda, and there was no backup to it. If we have to bring something before the agenda, we need to have backup. And this is just, you know, a presentation about the increased height and density, which is a huge, huge issue in our city. It's a major subject. And I have a question, Barbara. When you said all reserves are going to run out in the next 5 years, is that with the assumption that the property taxes in the state legislature passes?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. If they pass and we do nothing, right? That's the caveat. And we do nothing, we would run out of reserves. And that's over 26 million.
Okay.
So why I say that is to give us, to be able to understand how much are we talking about in potentially lost revenues. And it's over 26 million in 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, I like that we're taking a proactive approach to this. I know all cities are. You know, I'll make a couple points. Dania, we weren't allowed to go past 3 stores until 2010. We're a 120-year-old city, over 120 years old. So to suggest that, you know, we're going to collapse unless we increase the height and density is almost, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a real compliment to what this city is and the resilience that we have. But I wouldn't say that this is a Dania Beach problem. This is an overall economic problem that the entire country's facing, that South Florida's facing. And when have we ever looked to Hollywood for an example, or how they do things, or what they're building? We've never talked about that. So that's a big surprise to me, to say that their overdevelopment is going to leak into us, so we might as well overdevelop also. That just like, 2 wrongs don't make a right when it comes to that. That's all I'm suggesting. And like I said, you have to look at it from a macro and micro. It's the overall economics. It's not just Dania Beach. We're not just affected by the height and density. Building has gone down overall. I had a meeting with a developer in the city, and he said that developers are canceling projects left and right all over the place. So it's not just a Dania Beach problem. I want to make that clear. And what makes Dania Beach attractive is our height and density and our small town feel that we have. I worked very hard with Corinne and the building department, the zoning department on reducing the height and density. The whole commission did. It took months and months and months, and we looked at multiple examples of how we could still be sustainable and still be successful by reducing the height and density. Whereas 14 stories, we went down to 7. Whereas 100 units an acre, we went down to 50 units an acre. And there's still plenty of room for developers to make money with those allowances, with the zoning. And let's be honest here, we're only talking residential in the CR area. Besides Dania Point, I want you guys to point out a building that's not residential that's been developed outside of Dania Point. I haven't seen one. Some of them are 100% residential, and they don't even have commercial space on the bottom floor, specifically like our most recent 3 developments on Dania Beach Boulevard. And when we reduced the height and density, we worked hand in hand and agreed that each project can be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So the commission has the authority to allow a developer to go up to 14 stories if we so choose to give them that variance. So there's still an option to review these projects individually based on where they're located. I agree with some of those areas that were identified by Corinne. Yeah, there's certainly some pockets in the city where we could probably increase the height and density, but we could still look at that as a commission and approve it with their variance. And so we have 6,000 rack units that we approved with the 7 stories and the 50 units. That was the 6,000 rack units that we got approved to the county and the state. It took us years. And I think we have, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think we have roughly 3,000 rack units left over from the original height and density that allows 14 stories and 100 units per acre. And those are still sitting out there and they're not being developed yet. So we're still gonna feel impacts of height and density from those 3,000 rack units that are still unaccounted for on top of the 6,000 that we have. So we're sustainable. I understand that some goals are to get this city to 50,000 residents, and we're at like 35,000 right now. But I definitely appreciate, like the mayor said, the commission's intellect on this, and I'm for a workshop, but this is something I would definitely like to have an individual meeting on and go over more. This is a lot of information that was just presented to me that I didn't have a chance to even kind of digest. But those are my thoughts on it, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Vice Mayor Salvino.
Well, I guess we all have a different opinion on this. You know, this goes back a ways, and when all the development started back in 2016, it wasn't a favorable thing when Dania Point started, and we didn't. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings or being disrespectful by anything I'm saying, but I'll point out some facts. In 2016, when we passed at Dania Point, it was our first major project we brought in, and the revenue that it's bringing in is one of our major tax rolls that we're bringing into the city. After everything, the city didn't have any development until the incentives went into place. When those incentives sprung up and the first couple developers came in there and we became developer friendly, they were coming in and spending their money. And the reason they were spending their money is because they can make money if they have the ability to put more, units per acre. And that allows them to collect more money in their business to make money. As far as that goes, I mean, that's why it's slowed down, because we've reduced our height and our density areas. And we've even had other people come in and ask for variances on doing that to help out, to make it financially viable for their building to be able to be built, because you have to be able to make money. And I agree to that, or they're not going to pay for it. And one of the comments I made many, many years ago is when this was all thrown at me when I was the mayor is, oh my God, you're going to have all this density here in Dania Beach and there's going to be traffic. And my comment was, and I know that Commissioner Ryan said something about Hollywood. I don't compare ourselves to Hollywood at all. I think we're above Hollywood. But I said, you're not going to stop the people getting off the airport and coming out of the cruise ships, driving down Federal Highway to go to Hollywood, and the traffic is going to come through here whether you like it or not. So why don't we do something to stop them in our city of Dania Beach and let them spend the money here? There was a little bit of kickback on that. Nobody seemed to like my comment, but Dania Point went up, and all of a sudden everybody loves Dania Point, and there is traffic. And if you want to drive down to Hollywood, there's traffic. You want to drive down to Hallandale, there's traffic. You go to Fort Lauderdale, there's traffic. It doesn't matter where you go in the Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach counties, Atlanta, Orlando, Tampa, there's traffic. And the reason there's traffic is because they're large cities. And we're in the middle of a couple large cities and next to a huge airport. So we don't really have much of a choice. There's nothing you can do. Whether or not you add or not, there's going to be traffic out there. As far as, the changes, I mean, I thought the presentations were great. I think we need to, I'm not in favor of a workshop because we're going to repeat the same thing coming through the meetings as we're going to do in a workshop. We're either going to agree or we're not going to agree, and that's pretty much it. You're going to express your opinions, Mayor, and he's going to express his opinions, and commissioners are express their opinions at the workshop. And I can tell by the comments we're having now, none of us are going to agree. And it's a matter of majority vote at this point, and whether we move it or whether we don't, that's why we're up here to make that vote. But I can tell you that it's going to be a lengthy conversation that's coming up, but I agree with the fact that limited areas that were presented by Corinne, where we can build the buildings up or down or add on the incentives and so on, I think the approval should come up, that we should allow them to present it to us and then come back to us. And then at that point, you don't like something, you can vote it down. But if we stop and we don't have this revenue come in, all those things you're talking about that we are having, the Dania After Dark and all the other special events that come in here, they're not funded. And all this stuff is going to go away. And that's back in the 2001 when we were the small city. We didn't have it. We didn't have all the. We didn't have such a large police force. We didn't have a first class A fire department, or we may have had, but I know there weren't 3 to a rescue truck. There was 2, and all these extra that everybody wants. Everybody wants something. It costs money, and if you want it to cost money, you got to pay a price someplace. And our city, yes, I'd like to see 50,000 in our city because we have a lot more to offer here. And I think that it's not keeping up with the Jones or the Smiths or whatever you want to call it, but it's just our city staff has worked exceptionally hard building new park and putting on events and presentations that we do here for the residents. We never back in 20. Because I was here and nobody else was at the time, it wasn't here before. We were very slow and laid back. And that's what, if you want to be laid back, this is not the city that you're in anymore, and it won't be because you're either going to die or you're not. Because the revenue stops, we die. All those things go away. So, I'm not in favor for a workshop. I'm in favor for what they had to offer down there, and that's my thing. And that's how I feel about this. And I've always felt that way. I'm not going to change how I feel about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, I will go back to Commissioner Ryan at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Salvino mentions Dania Point a lot, and I joke often. I say, you want to go 100 stories in Dania Point, go ahead, okay? That's like kind of its own little area, so I don't mind the density in Dania Point. That's okay. What we're talking about here right now is our main corridors, our US 1 corridor, which backs up to residential properties. Only that first, 50 to 100 feet off US 1 is commercial. Everything behind that is residential. So you have to think of those setbacks. And I know that we have setbacks in place for this. And I don't want to give off the suggestion to our residents that in order for us to be sustainable and to maintain our services, we have to just keep building and building and building until everything runs out. It's not a good example to set. You see some other cities that are stuck in it where they say they need to build a high rise just to pay their police pension, so I don't want to be in that predicament. There's other ways to produce revenue and there's other ways to cut the fat. And there's hard truths that we're gonna have to face as a city, and I'm willing to have these conversations with the commission to move forward, but I definitely want to represent my voice for the city regarding these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. And I agree with the majority of what you said on that, but I will let Commissioner Llewellyn weigh in.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're not talking about unlimited development throughout the city. This is basically spot development in certain areas limited to a certain height and density. We're not talking, I don't think anybody here is talking, from what I heard, no one's talking about doing 100 stories. Nobody's talking about all over US 1, all the way down to Sheridan. Nobody is talking about going further into the neighborhoods. There are certain areas in that small little section within the city center area, and not even the entire area, certain pieces of it, and allowing some incentives there so that we can generate some revenue from some development. I don't know, I'm not sure who to ask of this. Am I correct that since we changed the zoning and reduced everything back to the place that it was before the incentives were in place, that we haven't really had anyone coming and looking to bring any development to the city?
Corinne, you want to answer that? But while Corinne is coming to the microphone, I just want to put it on the record. We are a city that leads.
Yes.
We don't ever want to be like Hollywood or Hallandale or Fort Lauderdale. As a matter of fact, the city of Hollywood had major financial problems that led to furloughs, that led to firing of employees, that led us to be able to bring Eric Brown here as our former director of Parks and Recreation. We are being extremely transparent. And when we have our deputy finance director and a resident here talk about where we're going in regards to revenues, I mean, going south in regards to revenues, but we have obligations to our unions and public safety. We are a safer city. We are our more beautiful city. And we want to still continue to be that unique city. We're just bringing forward some opportunities to ensure that we become the best version of ourselves. Because walking up and down US 1, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the best version of Dania Beach.
Thank you. In the downtown, we have had, since 2004, with the elimination of incentives, we've had a little bit of interest. The projects that come to mind are the Braha site, which is the Citibank site, the Ryan property on East Dania Beach Boulevard, and the Wyndham property, which is just south of the Holocaust Center on Federal Highway. However, each of those projects have either come in, there's one that says that they're going to come in and ask for a text amendment for additional height, basically. Was there additional density? Definitely additional height for those projects. Two of those have gotten that additional height granted by the commission, but they have not yet come in with site plans. And the other one, I've had meetings with the developer and their attorney, but they haven't come back with a text amendment yet.
Does it seem like the hesitancy is because they're going to have to come back for a text amendment?
Right. It adds that level of uncertainty where the incentives, it was defined and they knew what they had to do in order to earn that height, and they like that certainty. It's this, we tell them, the commissioner says they'll entertain a case-by-case basis, but it adds all that uncertainty. The public hearing, what if they say no? There's application fees involved, and there's a bit of delay in them coming in doing that.
And it's not, I mean, we're not talking about doing something like what they're doing in Hollywood. We're not talking about doing 20 stories, 30 stories. We're not talking about the beach. We're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about a particular area in a couple of different locations where it makes sense because there's enough property. Okay. So you need us to make a motion?
You need consensus.
Or you need consensus.
You're trying to get consensus.
Okay.
But I have something to say before we move on to that. So unless you're finished with your.
No, I just think we need to get to the point where we call the question.
Well,
that's all.
that is my point. So I will just say my last moment, and I will see whether it's just consensus because it's not a vote. So I will get the consensus or not. I do believe that this is an agenda item. This was a very heavily dense, thorough presentation, and I would have liked the benefit of being able to go through the PowerPoint with all the subject matter experts like we do on every other agenda item. I do have a concern and issue that this was not on, there's no backup for an item of this magnitude. And so I like to go through, that's why I go to my agenda review meetings every single month, whether it's on the phone or whether it's in person, because I benefit from the subject matter experts on our city staff, administration, and city attorney. The fact that we did not have the opportunity to do that, I have a problem with the way that this was brought to us, and I did not have the opportunity to ask questions prior to right now. So, you guys can go ahead and see whether or not we have consensus for this or not, but right now, I would still personally prefer to have all the backup, to have the PowerPoint, to have the information, and be able to ask the questions that I would have had in agenda review. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. So 3-2, it passes. Our consensus, you have consensus, it's not really a vote. So we will move on to the next one, which is 3.2, Presentation to City Clerk Initiative Award. City Manager.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City team, residents that are here with us today, and residents that are watching at home. For the past 7 years, this administration has challenged our leaders, and we are surrounded by leaders. As a leader, my job was to build leaders. Very excited for Candido Sosa Cruz and for the 5-0 vote that you gave him, the confidence that you gave him. And we have leaders in every single department. When we began to see last year decline in revenues, and we saw what other cities had been dealing with in the past. I've been a city manager for 17 years. So I've been doing this for a minute. So not only have I been challenging our city leaders, our department directors, to find ways to generate revenues, we have also been challenging them to find ways to be able to reduce expenditures. And I like to lead by example. Last year, we cut the budget by 10%. And I led the way with cutting the manager's contingency by 50%. Last year would have been my last ICMA conference. Did I go? No. I ended up getting my 20 credits by reading 2 books. This year, I have put an initiative, a directive, that there will be 0 conferences outside of Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. I never bring something forward without having already done a multitude of things. Not just to generate revenues, but to be able to save monies for our city and for our residents. I lead the city financially sound, as I do, not just professionally, but personally. So last year, when we met with all the department directors, we challenged them to find ways to generate revenues. Right off the bat, Elora, our city clerk, said, not even 2 weeks after I had that meeting, Manager, I have an opportunity that could save the city somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 a year. We had one-on-ones with all of you. We've already put that in motion. So to be able to start this fiscal year with the possibility to save $20,000, $25,000, and next year $30,000, that takes a lot of forward thinking, a lot of research, and a lot of planning. And Elora, I'm very, very proud of her. She's one of our youngest department directors, but boy, is she sharp. Her and Aaron and Michelin, I call her Michelin Star, which is one of our representatives in the office of the city clerk. But you see her young and everything, but she's very seasoned. And I'd like to present her because $30,000 a year in saving goes a long way for our city and for our residents. So it gives me great pleasure today to recognize our city clerk, Elora Riera, for her leadership and innovative contributions to the great city of Dania Beach. Thank you so much, Elora. Come and get your award.
Oh, let's get the commission. What do you think this is? You're hogging it up?
You want to come up front?
Great job, Laura. Thank you.
Did you want to say a few words, Elora?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I wouldn't have this without the support of my manager. I mean, I've brought a few initiatives to you since I've been here, and you've always been super supportive. So I'm very grateful for you to support my initiatives. And I'm also thankful to you all to support this one, especially on the online legal advertising. Just to give a little bit of information maybe for the public. In 2022, a House bill passed that allowed government agencies to post their notices online versus on the newspapers. So I wanted to bring that here just because we do a lot of advertising in our newspapers, and it's always just limited to those who pay for the newspapers. So this will allow residents to go on our city website and access those public notices online straight through our website. And they're also able to sign up to receive those notices through getting the notifications directly sent to their email. So it's just easier access. I'm always looking for ways to bring some efficiency, transparency, and more user-friendly initiatives to the city. So I hope that this will be one of those. And we're already slowly working on getting it all set up to get started and be effective, fully up and running by October 1st. So that's it. Thank you so much for your support.
Congratulations. Very well deserved. We appreciate all the savings and your initiative on that. Thank you very much. Next, we will have, and thank you, City Manager, for recognizing her on that. We have item 3.3, request for proclamation approvals for Turquoise Takeover Week, May 4th through 10th, 2026, sponsored by Commissioner Llewellyn. We have Child Abuse Prevention Month for April 2026, sponsored by Commissioner Ramoli. We have Water Conservation Month for April 2026, sponsored by Mayor Davis. And then we have Earth Day, April 2026, sponsored by Mayor Davis. Do I have consensus for approval of the proclamations? All in favor say aye. All right, any opposed? All right, proclamations are approved for 3.3. And now we will move on to Proclamation 4.1, which is National Autism Awareness Month, sponsored by me, Mayor Davis. So we have the Dan Marino Foundation here with us, and we are going to present the Autism Awareness Proclamation to them. And I'm going to ask you to come up, and then you can say a few words on behalf, or if you want me to read through first, that's fine. But you can come on up, and we'll go ahead and read the proclamation. This is the Dan Marino Foundation. We just had a wonderful Autism Awareness Sunday event at Dania Point. I believe it was our 5th year in a row, and we have been supporting and sponsoring this event from the very first year. And so we are very proud to have Michael, Lauren, and Susan from the Dan Marino Foundation. And we're going to present this proclamation to you today, as we did on Sunday. Whereas autism disorder is a complex developmental disability that typically appears during early childhood and affects an individual's ability to communicate and engage with others, and whereas autism affects people of all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds, with approximately 1 in 31 children identified with autism, according to the CDC's Autism and Developmental Disabilities Network. And whereas April is recognized as Autism Acceptance Month, a time to celebrate strengths, talents, and diverse perspectives of individuals with autism while fostering understanding and meaningful connections within the community. And whereas individuals with autism contribute to the Dania Beach community in many ways, while significant progress has been made in recognizing and supporting neurodivergent individuals, continued efforts are needed to promote equitable opportunities. And whereas it is essential to uplift the voices of the autism community, ensuring their perspectives are heard and respected in all aspects of society. And whereas the City of Dania Beach is honored to collaborate with the Dan Marino Foundation, advancing public understanding and acceptance of autism. And whereas these further efforts, the Dan Marino Foundation will host the autism, or has hosted the Autism Acceptance Family Awareness Sunday on April 12th, 2026 at Dania Point in the City of Dania Beach. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City of Dania Beach Commission, I, Joyce L. Davis, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, do hereby proclaim April 26th as National Autism Acceptance Month in the City of Dania Beach. Thank you. And I would love for you all to come up and say a few words, whoever you would like. If you would all want to speak, I know Michael, I know Lauren, you all know that. Please feel free to say a few words.
We all want to fight over the microphone. Trust me, I want to be behind the scenes all the time, but we really appreciate everything the city has done, not just for the Dan Marino Foundation, but for the neurodivergent community, as Mayor Davis said, since the beginning 5 years ago, through the great flood and sleeping in hotels and cars. We truly appreciate it. I'm getting chills talking about it, but it truly means a lot to us. And Emily at Dania Point has also been a great champion. And just to see the community come together this past Sunday, we had well over 1,500 people participate and get connected to resources. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you guys have given us, and continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Michael,
thank you so much.
All right. Well, let's come up here and let's take a historic photo. Yeah, we're gonna go down. Let's go down. All right, moving on, we have Proclamation 4.2, Esophageal Cancer Awareness Month for April 2026, sponsored by Commissioner Romoli.
Thank you, Mayor.
Uh-oh, sorry.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Before my colleague, Commissioner Llewellyn, reads the proclamation, I'd like to just kind of talk just a little bit about esophagus cancer. As someone who lost a loved one to this disease, it's an honor to recognize this each and every year, to support whatever we can do to make awareness about this disease. Esophageal cancer is a silent killer. It's one of those things that you don't really realize is happening until it's too late. There's a lot of warning signs: heartburn. People take Tums, do that for quite a while, many years. It becomes something to your esophagus. It starts to eat away at it, and it becomes cancerous. It's important to keep those signs, or read those signs, and actually talk to your healthcare provider and get early testing. Because like any cancer, early testing is the key. And if you can catch any cancer in its early stages, you have a better chance of survival. Unfortunately for Bill Harris, he caught that disease when he was stage 3, almost stage 4 cancer. I truly believe that if he had recognized those early signs and someone had told me or told him about the early signs of esophageal cancer, he would be alive today. So with that, Commissioner Wellman.
Oh, sorry, I'm off. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Llewellyn.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Romoli, for having me read this. I know it's a difficult time for you, and I know every year when this comes up, it's heart-wrenching. So thank you. Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, requested by Commissioner Louis Romoli. Whereas esophageal cancer is the fastest increasing cancer among American men, and whereas esophageal cancer is one of the fastest growing cancer diagnoses among all Americans, increasing more than 700% in recent decades, killing 1 American every 36 minutes every day. And whereas esophageal cancer is among the deadliest of cancers, with only about 1 in 5 patients surviving 5 years. And whereas esophageal cancer has low survival rates because it is usually discovered at advanced stages when treatment outcomes are poor. And whereas esophageal cancer in the U.S. is most often caused by persistent heartburn or gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD, yet many who are at risk are unaware of the potential danger GERD can present when it occurs over several weeks or months. And whereas esophageal cancer can be a silent killer, with patients often unaware that the heartburn, cough, hoarse voice, sore throat, chest pain, or other symptoms they suffer can be signs of GERD and are reasons to discuss screening for esophageal cancer with their healthcare provider. And whereas esophageal cancer can be prevented through early detection of its precursor, Barrett's esophagus, which can be eliminated with curative outpatient techniques. And whereas esophageal cancer awareness, along with improvements in prevention, early detection, and treatment strategies, will enhance the health and well-being of Dania Beach citizens and all Americans. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission and our Mayor, Joyce L. Davis of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Esophageal Cancer Awareness Month in memory of William Bill Harris, and urge our Dania Beach community to be cognizant of the early symptoms of the disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Llewellyn, and thank you, Commissioner Romoli. I'm gonna, it's short enough. Next, we're going to read Proclamation 4.3, Paralyzed Veterans American Awareness Month for April 2026. It was sponsored by me and kindly will be read by Vice Mayor Salvino.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a proclamation of the Office of the Mayor of the City of Dania Beach. Whereas residing within the boundaries of Dania Beach, many of our neighbors have served as members in the armed forces and are doing so honored our community with exemplary dedication. And whereas it is important that we recognize the sacrifices made by our community's veterans who are paralyzed, and whereas the City of Dania Beach honors our paralyzed veterans as they personify and the highest ideals to service of county, sacrifice of self, perseverance of overcoming adversity, their stories of hardship and triumph provide life-affirming lessons for us all. Now, therefore, on the behalf of the Dania Beach City Commission, representing our Mayor Joyce L. Davis, Mayor of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, do I hereby proclaim April 2026 as Paralyzed Veterans of America Month in the City of Dania Beach, and urge all citizens to observe and participate in the activities associated with Paralyzed Veterans of America Month, reflect upon the sacrifices endured by our community's veterans who are paralyzed.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor. And last one, we got to do it. April is a busy month for proclamations, but it is also Earth Day, April 2026, and I will just read this into the record. Whereas Earth Day was founded on April 22nd, 1970, when millions of people raised their voices to demand protections for health of our communities and surrounding environment from the threat of toxic pollution and the loss of biodiversity. And whereas the city of Dania Beach is committed to protecting and preserving our environment, ocean, and marine life, and recognizes the important role that our citizens play in this endeavor. And whereas Earth Day 2026 will mark the 56th anniversary of the birth of this modern environmental movement, this year's Earth Day theme, Our Power, Our Planet, highlights the collective power of citizens to defend environmental progress. And locally, the city of Dania Beach embraces the theme, One Nation, One Community, One Purpose, as we celebrate Earth Day alongside America's 250th birthday, uniting our community in a shared commitment to environmental stewardship and civic pride. And whereas this obligation extends not only to today's caretakers, but also to future generations who will inherit the planet. On this 56th anniversary of Earth Day, the city of Dania Beach is committed to building on the successes we have achieved so far. And whereas the city of Dania Beach will host its 6th annual Earth Day Beach Cleanup on April 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Dania Beach Pier, and invite everyone to come out and join us. Now, therefore, on the behalf of the city of Dania Beach, I, Joyce L. Davis, Mayor of the city of Dania Beach, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2026 as Earth Day in the city of Dania Beach, and do urge our citizens to come and being good stewards of our air, land, and water resources. And we hope to see you all out at the pier on April 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. Yes. All right, and then we're off to our administrative reports. Madam City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. As we prepare to celebrate the 250th anniversary, having met with our mayor, who really wanted all the initiatives of this year to be focused on that, we're very happy to have celebrated a truly remarkable Dania After Dark, which is blues and barbecues. And we got to unveil a very, very nice big banner that we had that replaced our 120th. And it's really beautiful, and it's out there. And like Commissioner Ryan said, blues and barbecues reminds me of our small town feel. And it was like a big barbecue with our residents enjoying the music and the kids enjoying the arts and crafts. And it was a very beautiful event. It's the last Dania After Dark of the season. So already we're starting to plan Oktoberfest for October the 10th. So please put that on your calendars. We're very excited about the Dania After Dark series. We continue to invest in our parks, augmenting the recreational opportunities for all in Dania Beach. Many of our residents wanted pickleball at Frost Park. Our residents want something, and we deliver. We were able to finish the construction, and I could show you, this is a before of what the tennis courts and the pickleball looked in Frost Park, and now this is the brand new courts. And we're going to be working with Maxine and your calendars to do a ribbon cutting. But here we go, really turning a facility that was run down and not looking to the standard of Dania Beach. Now everyone in the community can truly enjoy these beautiful courts. So we'll be working with your schedules commission to schedule a ribbon cutting there. This past Thursday, April the 2nd, former Commissioner Chicky Brandemart and more than 100 seniors joined together to present me with a really beautiful card celebrating my 7 years here in the city. And I want to thank Commissioner Ramoli and Commissioner Llewellyn that were there present. I know that our mayor and commission were out of town, but I can't believe it was 7 years ago that I walked through the IT Parker Center with former Commissioner Brandemart, and the place was really falling apart. She was concerned that she had to go through the men's bathroom past the urinals to get to her storage facility. The carpeting, the infrastructure, the air conditioning, the noise that it would make, it wouldn't cool. And now we celebrate and really take pride in having one of the most beautiful waterfront facilities here in Dania Beach in the IT Parker. So I'm very, very happy for the challenge that she posed to me to invest in IT Parker, which was a great historian person in our city. So very happy for the work that we did in IT Parker. On Thursday, March 26, Mayor Davis and I were invited by Broward County Superintendent of Schools to a roundtable, and they discussed the concerns that I've been discussing with you, and I really feel for the superintendent. Whereas I have been your manager for the past 7 years, he is the 5th superintendent in that 7-year span, and finally someone who's being proactive and doing something that should have been done years ago. But one of the concerns that were expressed to the mayor and I is the decline. Unlike us, like Commissioner Llewellyn said, we're growing in population. People want to come to our city. Unfortunately, there's been a decline in registration. So there's going to be a referendum in regards to taxing our residents that's being floated that will be approved. And so that's coming forward January of 2027 until December 31st of 2030. And that's of great concern to provide more taxes for our residents during very challenging times. This past Saturday, the 4th, we held our annual spring egg hunt. More than 1,500 kids and their families enjoyed the facilities. Every year we augment and enhance this special event. So every year we're growing in the participation. And I just heard from our Parks and Recreation Director that all 3 of our summer camps for June are already sold out in April. And we couldn't do it without the support of the mayor and the commission. And the quality of staff that we have and the infrastructure that we have in our facility. 7 years ago, we had 1 credential parks professional. Today we have 8. And that is why we are selling out in all our camps, because of the value that we're bringing forward and the investment that we make in our facilities and in our staff. Another great event celebrating the 6th anniversary of Earth Day, which is something that was the brainchild of our mayor. We're going into, Mayor, is it year number 6? 6. We're going into year number 6, ladies and gentlemen, this Monday, coming up Monday, April the 20th, at our beach, by the Quarterback Restaurant, 4 to 6 p.m. Please come out. It's a wonderful event. Bring the kids, because it's not just a cleanup event, but it's really celebrating our environment and the stewardship and the responsibility for all to take here in our city. As we transition to fill current key openings and the anticipated retirement of our esteemed Public Services Director, Fernando Rodriguez, we started together. I met him back in the mid-90s in the city of South Miami, and he's been our Public Works Director for the past 7 years. He's been working over 50 years, most of that time in municipal services. But Candido and I and our HR Director and the entire team have worked tirelessly, and we are very happy to announce that we have hired our next Public Services Director, Oscar Vasquez, whom I also had the great pleasure of meeting and interviewing alongside our Deputy City Manager. Oscar holds a master's degree in environmental engineering from FIU and is currently working on his doctorate degree. Oscar will be starting with us on April 27th and will overlap for 90 days with our director. So it's going to be a seamless transition, but this is a professional. We had the opportunity to reach out to some colleagues in Miami-Dade County where he worked, and he did a fantastic job. And this is why we're able to take individuals from other cities, because we invest in not just recruiting, but retaining and promoting the very best. So we're very, very happy. Oscar comes to us from Florida's 5th largest city, which is the city of Hialeah. 28 square miles. That tells you how big that city is, a city of over 200,000 residents. And for the 11 lift stations that we have, they have triple that amount. So we're very excited about Oscar joining us very soon. We have also hired the individual, Natalie, who's here with us. Natalie, if you can come up, we have also transitioned. As you know, Suzette Rodriguez joined her future husband in Orlando. So we're very, very happy that our marketing and communications manager, Natalie Mattis, has officially joined the team. Natalie joins us from Florida's largest county. She comes from Miami-Dade County, where she spent 13 years and has achieved notable success and accolades for her work. Natalie holds a bachelor's degree in public relations and marketing from the University of Miami, go Canes, and a master's degree in media management from the University of Arkansas. I had the pleasure of meeting and engaging with Natalie, and she will certainly be a great addition to our marketing team. And Natalie's right here with us. Natalie, would you like to say some words?
No.
Real briefly.
I don't want
But we wanted everybody to see her face.
Hello, everyone. It's been a pleasure so far joining the team. It's been 2 weeks and some change, and it's been exhilarating working with Dania Beach. And I'm really, really looking forward to having a lengthy career here. So thank you all.
Thank you, Natalie. I'm very pleased to report that we completed the 34th Terrace Stormwater Project adjacent to my Big Fat Greek restaurant. This is an area that we really saw up close and personal after that April 2023 no-name storm. I remember being there with former Mayor A.J. Ryan, now Commissioner A.J. Ryan, and Candido. We had water practically up to our waist, and that project has been completed on time and on budget, and we're very happy about that. We're also very happy to report that the historic Women's House construction project is underway, and we anticipate a ribbon cutting later this fall. The city is moving on all cylinders, on all departments, and we're really looking forward to continue to bring excellence to our city. So thank you, Madam Mayor. This concludes my report.
Thank you, City Manager, for that thorough, in-depth report. And now we will move on to the City Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and everyone in the audience. Real quickly, I'd like to tomorrow circulate a draft contract for our Candido Sosa Cruz, and to try and schedule one-on-ones so that we can bring it up to the next agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you, City Attorney. And we will move on to City Clerk reminders.
Thank you, Mayor. So your next meeting is scheduled for April 28th, and that is just your City Commission meeting at 7 p.m. And then beginning in May, you have May 12th, your CRE meeting at 6 p.m., and then your City Commission meeting at 7 p.m. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you so much, City Clerk. And then we will move on to public safety reports, and we have our very own Captain Jason Tarala.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Attorney, City Manager, City Clerk. I'd like to start off by saying how upset I am about the recent homicide that happened at C.W. Thomas Park. I want to provide a little context to the city and our residents and the commission here. Our city is very safe. Over the past 6 months, our city's achieved a 13% decrease in violent crime. We've also achieved a 16% overall reduction in all crimes throughout our city. These results reflect a significant strides we made through proactive policing, strategic deployment, and strong partnerships within our community. Our officers continue to work closely with our residents, neighborhood groups, local organizations to build trust and prevent crime before it happens. These efforts are making a measurable difference, as you can tell by our crime statistics. However, it's also important to acknowledge that no city is immune from violent crime or bad actors. Despite our progress and our commitment, there will always be individuals who choose to act outside the law. Bad actors remain a reality in any society and any community, not just Dania Beach. There was a very unfortunate act that happened at our park, but I need to make sure to clarify that it was an isolated act. We remain focused and committed and resolute in continuing our work to keep our community safe. After speaking to the city manager that night at length, we've immediately added a deputy at CW Thomas Park that will be stationed at the park every night from 4 p.m. until after closing for the foreseeable future. I need our residents to know that that park is safe. And I want all of our residents to know, whoever's listening to me at home, here, that that is a safe park. That was a very unfortunate, isolated incident, but that should not take away from the success we've had within our city and also within our park. That area and that park is very safe, and I hope everyone still feels safe and go to the park, enjoy the park, and our deputies will be there, stationed there to make sure everybody feels safe to enjoy the park. Please, I know you guys have many questions about that, but it is an active investigation, so I can't go into detail about it. But please know, I had a meeting this morning with our homicide lieutenant and our homicide captain this morning, and they have identified numerous leads, and they're actively working that case as we speak right now. Switching the page, we had a very, very successful spring break season overall throughout all of Dania Beach. From our beach all the way to Dania Point, we had 0 incidents of violence or 0 incidents at either one of those locations. That is an extremely huge achievement for the city, the sheriff's office, and all of our stakeholders. So I'm very proud of everyone involved in making our spring break season such a success for our city. I also got numerous complaints. I've been getting numerous complaints, and I got more complaints from our deputy manager, Sosa Cruz, as well as city manager Garcia, for the federal highway corridor between about the 10,000 block to the 15,000 block in that area. So I also wanted to let you know some of what we've been doing. So if this commission gets complaint from the residents, which I'm sure you do, I want you to be able to know what we're doing. Over the past 12 months, we've made a total of 62 arrests in that little corridor right there. Over the last 6 months, we've made 34 arrests in counting, with the majority of those 34 arrests concentrated between the 1100 block and 1400 block of Federal Highway, where those motels are. We also have an ongoing undercover operation in that area, where we also have identified numerous suspects, and I can tell you right now, within the next couple of months, we are going to be making multiple arrests, reference this ongoing investigation that we're working. I can't go into more detail about that, but once we make the arrests, I will absolutely come here and fill you in on what we've been working over there, targeting that area. To highlight just, and this has all happened within the last 2 days, so this is after the complaints we got from our deputy city manager over in the 1500 block of Federal Highway, Deputy Morjan, Rica, and Diaz. They were proactively patrolling the Federal Highway corridor when they noticed a female walking through the parking lot that was previously arrested and previously trespassed. Upon making contact with her, they placed her in the custody for trespassing again, and on her property they got drug paraphernalia and oxycodone on her person. She was arrested and charged. Also, on the 1100 block of South Federal Highway yesterday, in that same corridor, Deputy Rica, again, working with Deputy Morjan and Diaz, proactively patrolling this known area, noticed another defendant who is a known narcotics dealer and a known documented gang member in our city, sitting at the county bus bench, which is against a court ordinance because the bus already went by and he didn't get on the bus. They went to make contact with this individual. Another individual attempted to obstruct their investigation. They ended up arresting the individual obstructing their investigation, and they also arrested the individual who was sleeping on the bus bench. Search incident arrest of both individuals. They found multiple narcotics, crack cocaine, and arrested both of them for possession of felony narcotics and took them both to jail. Again, at the 1100 block of South Federal Highway yesterday, our deputies responded to the motel, referenced the hotel manager, wanted the subject trespassed. Upon arrival, this individual was causing a disturbance at the business. Our deputies asked the subject to leave, at which time he refused. And once we went to place the suspect into custody, he decided to physically resist our deputies. And after a brief struggle, he was placed into custody for 2 counts of battery on a law enforcement officer, as well as resisting with violence. As we went to his hotel room to get his belongings out of the hotel room, inside the hotel room we found cocaine that was packaged for individual sales and tools that were utilized for street-level narcotics and weighing the narcotics. The individual was charged with possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, as well as the trespassing from the motel. So again, I want to highlight, that was just 3 that we made in the last 2 days over there. So any complaints that you get, please tell our residents that we are actively out there hitting that area as hard as we possibly can. And earlier today, again, referenced multiple complaints we get about the speeding on Dania Beach Boulevard. Cesar Gonzalez, our new traffic deputy that we implemented last year, who has been a phenomenal success for the city, by the way. And I will bring his stats to the next commission meeting so you can see what he's done for our city. He was running radar at the 1000 block of East Dania Beach Boulevard, and he clocked 2 vehicles traveling eastbound at 11:35, which is almost lunchtime for all of our residents, going 120 miles an hour eastbound on Dania Beach Boulevard racing. He was able to safely catch up to these vehicles only because, unlucky for these 2 vehicles, the bridge went up. So Deputy Gonzalez was able to catch up to both of these vehicles, and he actually was able to get them both stopped because they had nowhere to go. And he placed both of their drivers into custody for the new Florida state law on super speeding. So both these drivers were placed into custody. That's extremely reckless behavior. And I'm so glad that he was out there running radar because they both deserved to be responsible for their actions of driving that way down our city. And so that's all I have for today. I know it's a lot going on, guys. We've been very busy from the Broward Sheriff's Office side of the house, from law enforcement side. Our guys are super, super busy.
I got a question for you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
The people that you're at the 1100 block to the 1500 block, are these residents of Dania Beach, or are they just transient, or where are they coming from?
Most of these people are staying at the motels.
They just come in and rent the hotel?
They come in and come out and they stay at the motels. Okay. A lot of it's prostitution. A lot of it's drug stuff going on at the hotels that we are addressing. But I will tell you a lot of it, and I will be happy to bring my CST sergeant in next commission meeting so we can explain some of the issues. But we've arrested multiple individuals that he will tell you that we've arrested them, and they are let right back out, and they're coming right back to the hotels. So it's been a revolving door. They're seeing the same individuals that we've arrested, taking them to jail for felonies, and they're right back out, coming right back to the motel. So that's a problem, and obviously that's above anything I can do. I'm not responsible for the court system or the judges, but we're making these arrests, and they're letting them right out, and they're coming right back to the city. But yeah, a lot of it is transient people staying at the motel for a day, 2 days. But I can tell you that we are actively working some other very, I want to choose my words
Don't worry about
correctly here, yeah, but I promise you I'll have some other things to tell you guys coming up in the next couple of commission meetings, reference that area.
Who's behind you?
Oh, that's Lieutenant O'Malley. I think you guys all know him. He's my midnight lieutenant. But I have him come up here because I want him to get used to dealing with the commission and being up here in case there was any questions he could answer, because he's our midnight lieutenant, just in case you guys had any questions. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Any other questions? Anything else? Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Chief. Really appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
All right. Nice to see you again. And next up, we have our very own Chief Sergio Pelissar of BSO Fire. And thank you guys for showing up for the Easter egg hunt and all that you guys do for the community events as well. Chief P.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City staff, and the great citizens of Dania Beach. I want to start off, number one, by thanking Commissioner Ramoli and Deputy City Manager Candido Sosa Cruz for coming down to our building at BSO and participating in our stakeholder meeting. This will help us at BSO Fire Rescue and BSO perform better for our citizens, perform better for you, our city. With that, our crew this last couple of weeks, we've been training pretty heavy on vehicle fires. Now, it's very important for us to train on this because a lot of these cars have the lithium-ion batteries, which have what you call when they catch fires a thermal runaway, which basically means they can reignite. They get really, really hot. So we got to make sure our crews are aware of this. And most importantly, if they reignite, they need to know how to put it out. Unlike gas cars, once you put them out, they're out. But the electric vehicles, because of the batteries, can reignite. We have to teach them different tactics. We got to teach them how much water. There's a lot of water we got to put down. So we got to make sure not just the water in the fire truck, which is usually 500 gallons, that's not going to put them out. So you need a lot more. You need to hook up to a fire hydrant. And for their safety, we got to teach them how to cut into these cars, whether it's a car accident or where it's a car fire where you have to cut to try to disconnect something. Those cars are very high voltage, so we got to keep our crews safe. Our Safety Saturday continues. The last one we had in March, we did CPR, but the one message I want to get through to our citizens out there listening, please sign up. Sign up to our Safety Saturdays. If you can learn CPR and we could teach you one thing, hopefully that one little thing will save somebody's life. So we encourage you to sign up. Our Honor Guard was happy to be here at the Blues and Barbecue. They're always very proud to represent BSO and City of Dania Beach. Our life safety educator went out this week and he did a family acceptance for autism with the Dan Marino Foundation. That event went good for him and for us. And with that, I'll just take a quick personal moment and just tell you that I am proud to have completed 36 years of service for the City of Dania Beach. I'm thankful. I want to tell you I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve you, for the lessons I've learned, and to the people right here, the people out there that have made this journey meaningful. You all mean a lot to me, personally. But my commitment continues. You know how I feel about Dania Beach. And if there's one message I can give my firefighters and my kids out there is leadership is not about rank. It's about responsibility. And that's exactly how I feel. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations on your 36 years. And Commissioner Ryan said it from afar. We all love you too. Appreciate you. All right. Next, we are done with public safety reports. We have citizens' comments. I do have one here. Gary Smythe. Are you still here? Yeah. He may have left the building. Is there anyone else from the public that has public comments that wishes to speak at this time? Okay, then I will close the public comments. Yeah. Then we will move on to item 8, which is the consent agenda. Are there any items the commission wishes to pull from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Commissioner Llewellyn?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. And do I have a second? Commissioner Romoli?
Yes, you do. Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Okay, the consent agenda passes unanimously. Thank you. Commission, we got through a lot on that. Next up, we have item 9, which is bids and requests for proposals. There are none, so we will move on to quasi-judicial and public hearing items. Item 10.1. This is, if you could please read item 10.1.
Yes, Mayor. A resolution of the City Commission authorizing the application for the 52nd year Community Development Block Grant Program in the amount of $177,575 to provide funding for Oasis-style neighborhood improvements in CDBG eligible areas, providing for a public hearing and conflicts and effective date. This is a public services item.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners,
Good evening, Sean Sutton.
City Manager, and City Attorney. As mentioned, this is a public hearing, and it is a requirement as part of our Year 52 CDBG application process. I'll go over what the CDBG program is, how it integrates with the city's vision, the current CDBG projects that we have, and the Year 52 project that was or will be submitted via application. Since it is a public hearing, we are opening the floor to any comments that would be following this presentation. If there are no comments or someone's withholding a comment, they do have up to 15 days to respond via email. We'll provide that contact information to do so. Thereafter, we will send this information to the county and we will include that as part of our application. So moving on. What is the CDBG program? The program's administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It was established in 1974, and it's one of the longest running projects at HUD. It provides annual grants to states, cities, counties to support local community development projects in low to moderate income individuals and communities. Broward County is the local administrator of the grant or the CDBG program. It gets the funds directly through HUD, and they are responsible for managing the program on behalf of HUD. City of Dania Beach can participate as a non-entitlement community, meaning that we have less than 50,000 residents. And how do we apply? Well, essentially, we have to be eligible to apply. We must attend a mandatory meeting provided by the county, which we did do in early March. We have to have an eligible project, and these are public improvement projects, and we have been doing those over the last several years with the county. We have to make sure that it does meet the national objectives in the LMI neighborhood, and I'll forward that slide a little bit. LMI neighborhoods are highlighted here in orange, and the project has to be shovel ready. So we certainly do have plans that are nearly ready to go if we are selected for this grant, which will be awarded in June or shortly thereafter. Now, the city has been working with the county for the last several years, as I mentioned, as far as I could tell through our records, at least since year 42 of the CDBG program. We're currently in year 52 of the CDBG program. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've integrated that CDBG program with what our local OASIS program is. So the OASIS program, just to provide some background on it, it is focused on improving the physical quality of the city's neighborhoods and improving the quality of life of its residents and visitors. It's designed to improve specific streets with the goal of fostering neighborhood pride and improvement, and induce owners and tenants to work together to beautify the city, to increase property values, and to reduce crime. So our projects over the last 5 years through the CDBG program have integrated in with this local program. And I'll go over what those projects were. And they're all along very similar projects. They are drainage improvement projects that replace impervious driveways in the right-of-way with porous brick, ADA improvements to the sidewalks associated with those, as well as improved traffic signage for better traffic flow and safety. In year 49, we did receive $182,000, $686,000. Am I saying that right? $182,686 for 3 streets, which are just west of City Hall. In year 50, we were awarded $180,472. These are 3 streets just north of Griffin between 28th and 27th Avenues. Last year we applied, and we're still awaiting award for the 51st year, and this is on the southwest section on 13th Avenue. And this year, the application will pertain to 3 streets located just east of Federal Avenue off 2nd Avenue. That would be Northeast 2nd Court, Northeast 2nd Avenue, and Northeast 1st Court. And they're going to, of course, be similar to what we've previously applied for in this OASIS improvement. We'll have driveway replacements, impervious areas with porous brick, ADA improvements to the sidewalks, and improved signage for better traffic safety. Now, in year 53, that would be next year, we already have our planned area, which would be just east of Federal, near the southeast neighborhood between 6th and 8th Avenues, with very similar projects. We aren't just choosing these projects randomly in our OASIS program or our CDBG programs. These are part of the Dania Beach's Vision 2036, which align with multiple principles for attractive streetscapes, well-designed and maintained infrastructure and facilities, great neighborhoods, a sense of neighborhood integrity and pride, well-maintained neighborhood infrastructure in streets and sidewalks, pedestrian safety and well-being, and increased impervious area. So we are working to improve the city 1 year at a time with these CDBG grants. And that being said, I would like to reiterate that the year 52 application does provide is for $177,575 in the application. It's to 3 streets, Northeast 2nd Court, Northeast 2nd Avenue, Northeast 1st Court, for improved drainage, safer streets, and ADA sidewalk improvements. This is a public hearing. It is a requirement for the application, and there will be up to 15 days to provide comments to myself or the Public Services Director. And with that, I'd like to return the microphone to you, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Sean. As he did let us know, this is a public hearing, so is there anyone who would like to speak for or against this item? Anyone? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I will open it up to the commission for discussion or motion. Thank you so much, Sean. Great presentation. Oh. Do I have a discussion from the commission or motion? Commissioner Llewellyn?
I'll make a motion to approve 10.1.
Yes. I have a motion from Commissioner Llewellyn to approve 10.1. Do I have a second?
You do. Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Romoli. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Item 10.1 passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Sean. And then we will move on to item 11. 11.1. Eve, if you would please read item 11.1.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance of the city amending Chapter 28 of the Land Development Code at Article 110, Use Regulations for Commercial and Mixed-Use Districts at Section 11020, List of Permitted Special Exception Prohibited Uses to eliminate mixed-use districts from the table. Also amending Section 110-190, Use Subject to Minimum Separation Distance to include kava and vape sales, distance requirements, and amending Subpart 1 CRA Form-Based Code, Article 302, Detailed Use Regulations at Section 30210, Permitted Special Exception Prohibited Uses in order to establish one permitted use table for the CRA Form-Based Zoning Districts, providing for codification, conflict, severability, and an effective date. This is a community development item.
Good evening. Corinne LaJoy, Deputy Director, Community Development. This is first reading of the text amendment. We are amending our city's land development regulations, which underwent a massive rewrite in 2010. But over time, we find where amendments and clarifications are needed. The city's current land development regulations has several permitted land use tables. There's one for residential, commercial, industrial, and the form-based code. Currently, the form-based code is identified. There are zoning districts in the form-based code which are identified in our commercial table as well as our form-based table. So it adds a little bit of confusion and it's clunky. And in order to clarify and clean that up for staff's use, we're making some of these changes. The first change is regarding the commercial permitted use table. The amendment deletes the mixed-use zoning districts, which are also identified in the form-based CRA table. So we're eliminating out of the commercial table. The elimination will take away that duplicity. In the process, we're also adding two new uses, kava establishments and vape establishments, with a separation requirement of 1,000 feet in the commercial zoning districts. We're also adding outdoor restaurants for bars and outdoor dining are added into the PRD1 zoning district. They were inadvertently removed when we incorporated them into our permitted use table, so we're reestablishing that. The second regulation is adding the separation of uses. As we add the vape and kava to the permitted use table, there's a condition section following the table, and that's where we're adding the 1,000-foot separation from similar uses so we don't have a concentration of those uses like we're starting to see in other areas of the city. The separation requirement will prevent the concentration of similar uses in an area where it frequently adds to a decline in the area if there's too much of the concentration of this type of activity. The third amendment is the RAC permitted use table. This amendment will consolidate the permitted use table for the form-based districts into this one table, which will be concentrated on the CRA area. Vape and kava will also be specifically identified but prohibited in those districts. Some analysis that we did, this is a location map showing where we currently have vape and kava uses. This is just looking at Federal Highway from Old Griffin down to, I think, where the Dixie Highway connects to Federal. And you can see there's a couple concentrations of this activity occurring. These are some photos of Federal Highway. This goes from just south of Dania Beach Boulevard to north, about 500 feet north to where the Sherwin-Williams is, and we have 3 within that 500-foot distance, linear distance. So that kind of just reiterates the need for this separation that we're adding in the code. The application requires 2 public hearings at the City Commission. These proposals have no budgetary impacts to the city. Staff has it did go through the Planning and Zoning Board where they recommended approval, and at this time, staff's requesting approval from the City Commission, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you, Corinne. I do see a question. Commissioner Llewellyn.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Corinne, nice presentation. I have a question. So obviously there are some of these establishments that are within 1,000 feet. What happens to them if this passes?
So the existing uses, provided they have a certificate of use and a BTR, then they're considered legally established. They would be non-conforming but established. If the business went out of business, we would lose that and they wouldn't be able to reestablish. And in addition to that, where we see them primarily on Federal Highway, those are our form-based zoning districts where going forward, they would not be permitted at all. So going forward, they would be allowed in the commercial zoning districts and at 1,000-foot separations.
Okay.
So what we have today, especially on Federal Highway, would be grandfathered in, but as they go out of business, we would no longer, be reestablished.
If they, I mean, there's,
And provided they're established legally with a BTR.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Llewellyn. Vice Mayor Salvino.
Corinne.
Yes, sir.
Don't you sneak away.
Sorry.
I didn't quite understand the first part of about the tables. Can you explain that?
Yes. So we have permitted use tables, and we have like 4 of them. One for residential zoning districts, one for commercial zoning districts, one for industrial, and one for a form-based code. The commercial district, and I'm trying to remember the rationale why it included the form-based code. I don't remember why the consultant at that time did that, but our commercial permitted use table includes some of the form-based zoning districts in that table. And it repeats in our form-based zoning districts. So we had, like, the city center zoning is identified in our commercial table and our form-based table, and so it's in 2 different locations. And so that causes a little bit of confusion and for staff and for the public. So we're taking everything, the form-based out of the commercial districts and having it at one location so that it's not duplicative. So it's all on one table.
Okay. Not that I drink or anything, but there was a statement you made in there about alcohol not being next to each other. Are those liquor stores, or are you talking about restaurants that serve alcohol?
So we do have separation requirements in existence for a sale of alcohol. However, in our downtown, when an establishment serves food, we don't have that separation requirement because we were looking at ways to activate businesses in our downtown, and food establishments that serve alcohol was one of the caveats that we allowed that, and we didn't have that separation. But in other areas of the city, it does have a 1,000-foot separation. And we have the separation from churches and schools and places of worship, things like that as well.
So you're allowing a restaurant downtown, if we put 3 restaurants in a row, they all serve alcohol, that's okay?
Yes.
But if you're not in downtown area and you're on Griffin Road,
and you're next to a church, you have to be
I
1,000
understand the
foot.
next church, and church and schools, we had that
Yes.
before. But I'm talking about if you're on Griffin Road and there's a restaurant and there's an empty building next to it, and they want to open up a restaurant, you're telling them that they can't serve alcohol in that restaurant?
Yes, they'd have to come for a variance.
It'd have to come for a variance.
Right.
See, I don't agree with that because you're causing an extra fee to a person trying to establish a business in the city for variance. I can see it if it was 2 liquor stores side by side, competing against each other, just like any Cava store. But you're already limiting the 2 in the beginning, the Cava and the vape. Thank you. The vape stores, you're already limiting those, and they may not like it, but I understand that. But when you start, and I wouldn't want the liquor stores side by side. But when you start, I think restaurants should be eliminated from that, this thing. I think if restaurants open up, you shouldn't, that's bringing a business into the city, bringing more to offer. And if we're going to, if as people want to try different stuff out, I mean, not everybody's going to do it, but it's easy to bring liquor into a restaurant because you don't need a full liquor license. You just need a restaurant liquor license. It's very cheap to put one of those in there. I just don't want to see a restaurant get turned down that might be coming in, maybe a national company or something like that because of that. So I'm asking you or the commission before we pass this if we can exclude restaurants that do that.
So unfortunately, that's not part of the proposed amendment, but we can go back and revisit that, and we could look at that situation, and we can amend it. We make periodic text amendments, so we can put it in our next round.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
So the mayor stepped out for a moment. Is there any discussion from the public? Vice Mayor, you're running the meeting. Would you like to?
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Well, is this a public hearing?
I'm sorry?
This wasn't a public hearing, all right?
We just.
Oh, we did that? Okay. Okay. All right. So we pass on, what I don't know where, let me turn my book back after that. I worked that hard on that last one. All right. So 11.1 is passed. Go to 11.2. You want to read it? What?
Marco.
I thought everybody said they voted. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Vice Mayor. I agree with what you say regarding the restaurants as well, so I look forward to that at the next meeting if it's possible to get that done in time. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve item 11.1.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Item 11.2, Eve.
Thank you. So this is an ordinance of the City Commission to amend Chapter 2, Administration of the City's Code, to create Article 12, Conflict of Interest and Code of Ethics, to create Section 2-300, Conflict of Interest and Code of Ethics Ordinance, providing for conflict codification and effective date. This item is sponsored by Commissioner Llewellyn. No public hearing is required on first hearing, and I do have a short presentation. Ralph, would you mind just queuing that up, and I'll just tell you to advance for me? And I don't know if Commissioner Llewellyn would just like to start and say something first?
Can't do it. Can you hit the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't really have a lot to say about it. I mean, it's something that Eve and I have talked about for several months, and we kind of just wanted to make sure that we had our own ethics ordinance that was in conjunction with what the state requires, and that applies not only to us, but as to our city employees and whatnot. So, but it's another one of these situations where we're kind of making things, making sure that we're consistent with other laws that also impact us. Fair? That's right, yeah.
Commissioner Ryan wanted to be recognized.
Thanks, Eve. Yeah, good work, Lori and Eve, on this. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve item 11.2.
She wants to do a little presentation.
Oh, you want to do the presentation? Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Let's do it.
Next slide, please. Just in short, it's very simple. We comply with state law as far as all of the ethics in procurement, in gift disclosures, all of that. This is covering any gaps or areas that were not covered by the state law. And the OIG, the Office of the Broward Office of Investigator General, had recommended that we bring forward some changes to the code that relate to procurement. And that's really the focus of this ordinance. So, so the ethics ordinance is a minimum standard of ethical conduct and behavior for city officials, officers, autonomous personnel, quasi-judicial, advisory personnel, department personnel, and employees. The definitions are consistent with state law. Next slide. Please. Thank you. So we're consistent with state law. There are no gifts over $100, and state law applies to elected officials, officers, and employees. Now, the nuances, the things that we're creating, is that this code precludes a gift to appointed persons that are serving on a competitive selection committee for procurement. So what does that mean is we have a lot of procurement committees that go over big contracts. They cannot receive a gift from any vendors, and that includes themselves and their family members. Next slide. So again, as I told you, we're focusing on ethics in procurement, so vendors must comply with the proposed ethics code. It precludes bid rigging, collusion, other illegal or unethical activities, providing false information during the procurement process. The laws that are listed in this slide are state law. We're just incorporating them by reference, so it's ease of use. And we have a requirement for all vendors that provide services over $250,000 to the city. And one employee from that company must obtain ethics training in procurement and in ethical codes of the state, county, and city. And they can go to either one. They can go to any one of them, to a state one, a county one, or a city-sponsored seminar. It's basically an hour of their life to learn how to ethically follow procurement rules. It only has to be completed once for the life of the cycle of the contract, so it's not unduly burdensome. And we chose $250,000 or $250,000 because there are a lot of smaller vendors that don't have the resources or ability to go through this process. Failing to comply is a termination of the contract. Next slide. So this was taken from best practices. It's from Miami-Dade County as well. Every city and the entire county complies with this. Basically, it just precludes certain appearances before any city boards or commissioners if you are an employee of the city, okay? There's a rare exception for a waiver, and that's usually for architectural firms. Next slide. Okay, let's see. Finally, no employee or commissioner or quasi-judicial personnel of the city can recommend a company for services. We don't want the idea of any kickbacks, so recommendation of services is precluded. Next slide. Anybody can seek an advisory opinion from the city attorney, so if you need guidance, that is available to you. Next slide. Voting conflict. This is something different. Actually, all of Dade County complies with this, and a lot of other cities do. Under state law, if you have a conflict of interest as an advisory board member or as a city commissioner, you can actually stay on the dais and discuss and contribute to the process, but you can't vote on the item. Well, this would require the person with the conflict to actually leave the forum. So you're not putting any pressure. The idea is the appearance is that the rest of the commission can have a discussion without having to worry about the input of that commissioner on the conflict, and then the vote can happen and the commissioner or the board member can come back into the room. And of course, there's the requirement of filing the state form on a conflict of interest. Next slide. Prohibitions. So no city employee can receive travel expenses. That's already very clear for department directors and elected officials by the state law, but it's not as clear for all of the other departments. So we're making it clear that no travel expenses can be provided to any employees by a vendor. And finally, we often are in litigation. If we're in litigation and we have these shade sessions to discuss strategy, and a commissioner may be appointed by a consensus of the commission to be the liaison for discussion purposes for settlement. But an individual commissioner without that authorization cannot go to the opposing side and start negotiating because they don't have the input of the commission. There needs to be one strategy. And if everybody's going and doing whatever they want, that could be a conflict for the city because one commissioner is saying one thing and another commissioner is saying something else. So this is not covered by state law, and it's just clarity for our elected officials. Next slide. Finally, these are the remedies. Basically, if there is a solicitation and there's an allegation of false information, collusion, fraud, etc., it goes to the city manager for a determination, and then she brings back a recommendation to the city commission, and that may be to ratify and affirm, and maybe to that there's a violation and a rejection, and in the extreme case, even though there was a violation, there may be a greater good or need for the city to take that contract despite the collusion, and that has to come to the commission for authorization. It's also a $500 fine, and just the city commission can adopt procedures for people to be removed. And I think that's the last slide.
Hope so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eve. Commissioner Llewellyn.
I just wanted to add, because it seemed a little longer than it was, but I will tell you, this was a much larger item at one point, and Eve and I spent some time paring it down to the things that we've been hearing from the OIG and that we've seen issues with, and that there were some questions on in the past. So we focused on the things that we thought were really the most important and left out some of the other stuff that really wasn't necessary at this time, at least. So that's all. And
Thank you, Commissioner Llewellyn. Vice Mayor?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say, I pushed wrong.
Do I have a motion? Oh, I think, did you already make the motion, Commissioner Ryan? So do I have a second? Commissioner Llewellyn?
I'll second it. Thank you.
All right. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. All right. Item 11.2 passes unanimously. Thank you, Commission. And we will move on to item 12, which is the second reading ordinances. There are none, so I will move on to discussion and possible action, which is the Broward League of Cities 69th Annual Dinner and Board Installation sponsored by me. I bring item 13.1 this evening with both honor and purpose. As many of you all know, I will have the honor of serving as the incoming president of the Broward League of Cities, a role that will place Dania Beach at the forefront of municipal leadership, not only in Broward County, but across the state of Florida and at the national level. For me, thank you. Thank you. He makes me laugh, and I'm trying to be serious, and he's, but it's okay. It's all love. This is more than a title for me. This is a rare opportunity. Dania Beach is Broward's first city and has not held this position, I don't believe, in decades, and I believe Bo Donnelly was the last person to hold this position in the 80s. And today we find ourselves in a very different place than we were then. A city that is rising, a city that is being recognized, a city that this commission has worked tirelessly for moments exactly like this. Over the next year, Dania Beach will be seen, heard, and represented in rooms where decisions are made, shaped, and partnerships are formed, and opportunities are created. And more importantly, this representation will not be mine alone. As a commission, we will be present. When I am unavailable, Commissioner Romoli or Commissioner Ryan will step in to ensure that Dania Beach continues to have a strong, consistent voice at the table. And that brings me to my request before you tonight. Each year, the city has traditionally supported the Broward League of Cities annual gala at the $5,000 level. This year, I am respectfully asking the commission to consider increasing that investment. The presidential sponsorship level is $15,000, which represents the highest level of visibility and recognition for our city. While that is aspirational, I am requesting your support at a minimum of $10,000. This is not simply about a dinner or a gala or a title. It is about positioning Dania Beach to be number one. This is about ensuring that when Dania Beach is leading Broward County, we are doing so with presence, with pride, and with a level of representation that reflects who we are today. It is about telling our story, our progress, our resilience, and our transformation to audiences that can bring resources, partnerships, and opportunities back to our community. And most importantly, it is about honoring the work of this commission. The reason I am in this position is because of the work that we have done together as a commission. This moment belongs to all of us. Tonight, I am asking you to join me in seizing it and to invest not just in an event, but the continued elevation of the city of Dania Beach. Thank you. And with that, I'm seeking a yes from Vice Mayor Salvino. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Okay, so we need to decide tonight where we are with the banquet amount. Is that correct?
Yes, which level of sponsorship?
And does that come from the city or does that come from us, or how can that work?
I believe we would each have to donate a portion from our contingency.
Okay, from our own contingency. It's not the city's contingency or
Right.
the city's. So we fund it ourselves, right?
Right.
Okay. You know, I'll tell you how I feel about it is that it is a distinct honor to have the city of Dania Beach represented from one of our own in the Broward Leagues of Cities. It's very large. I do remember when Bo Donnelly was the president of the Leagues of City, and I remember how much we respected the fact he and honored him after the fact as well. So, I think that this is once in a decade or whatever it is, like you say. I'm willing to give you $3,000 out of my contingency to make it up to 15 if we can get there. If not, then we work down from there.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right. Appreciate your support of this historic moment in our city. Vice Mayor, Commissioner Ryan.
Thanks, Mayor. Wonderful job, very well deserved. Definitely looking forward to attending this. I encourage the whole entire commission and our staff to attend this to support our mayor at becoming the president of the Broward League of Cities. It's awesome honor. And like you said, it's definitely going to bring Dania Beach more recognition, more respect. This can't come out of our commission contingency. No. Like our general commission contingency that we have overall as a commission.
Jamie?
You can just shake your head, yes or no. No? Okay.
Individual? Discretionary, yeah.
That's individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. So the large pool of money you designated is specifically for the community grants and sponsorship program. It will be up to the consensus of the entire commission to say we want to shift some funding towards this initiative.
We can say that we want to shift it.
But you will, yeah, all of you will have to have consensus.
Okay. Well, we do have the option. It's just whether or not we'd want to do that.
I would do that if it's a possibility for 15,000, because we have $200,000 in our commission contingency. So I would say we could go for the 15,000, and then we don't have to take out of what we're individually trying to do with our contingency funds.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Llewellyn.
So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I am not crazy about moving it from the community grants fund, because that's really what it is at this point. I just don't think that's best practices, and I don't think that would make the most sense. What I do think is that the most important thing for all of us is that we be there, and that we be in support, and that we be united as a commission and as a city to support our mayor in her new role there as the Broward League of Cities president. So I want to make sure that we are all there. I am not opposed to going to 10,000. I think the 10,000 is reasonable for this, and quite frankly, if each of us put 2,000 in from our own contingency, I think that would cover it, right? So that would be good. I think 15 is a little bit high, especially considering the additional 5,000. You don't really get a whole lot more, quite frankly. It's almost the same as the 10,000. Secondly, with everything that's going on right now, I just don't like the idea of spending $15,000 to sponsor a table, and I understand what the League of Cities does. I've always been a big supporter of the League of Cities, and I want to continue that as well. But I don't think it is necessary for us to spend $15,000 when we are trying to cut from so many other places, and we just had a whole conversation about potentially, we need to have more revenue coming in here. We need to cut from other things. We're trying to figure out ways. I know the manager cut significantly from city staff and her own contingency in the past. I just don't think it's a good look, quite frankly. I think it looks a little bit like we're spending a lot of money on a party. And even though it is more than that, and I do appreciate that, I think the 10,000 says something and gives exposure where it needs to give it, and also allows us to be more reasonable overall. So I would be willing, if we each wanted to do 2,000 apiece, I think it would be fine, but I'll let everybody else have their say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Llewellyn. Commissioner Romoli.
Thank you, Mayor, and also congratulations. It's a terrific and a very well-deserved honor. You've worked very hard for this, and we want to be there to support you. You asked for 10, though, right? Am I confused? Is it 10 or 15 that you asked for?
Well, the presidential spot level is 15, and so I said, while that's aspirational, and that's what, was recommended for me to ask for, I just said I would leave it up to the commission. Obviously, I want to put us in the strongest position possible, but I did want to bring it forth as a discussion to bring forth to you guys.
So you would be okay with the 10 if we ended up doing that, or are you really strongly going for the 15?
Well, I really want, it's aspirational. I want to ask for a minimum of 10,000.
I got you.
And, if we could, if we had it, I believe that's what my question was. What I wanted to ask is that we're finished with the community grants funding for this fiscal year. It would be my question, if we're done sending out all of the grant money that we already have in our commission contingency. So that is where, I was looking at getting in the extra amount, because if we're finished funding the grants, then maybe we have that available. But at the end of the day, my biggest thing is that we do that we have a huge presence in the city of Dania Beach, that we all come together. I would love to have 2 tables full of all of our commission, all of our staff, and really make sure that people know that Dania Beach is in the house, not just for me, but for our entire city and what we have worked together so hard to achieve. So I would be beyond honored to have the 15, but I would be, I would be fine if we needed to, do the 10. So,
I know I have a $10,000 request coming up for feeding, or for our Feeding South Florida partnership in Serving Joy in November.
It would be in a new fiscal year, though.
Oh, that'll be the next fiscal year, right? Okay. I'm thinking corporate, sorry. Okay. So forget it. Don't laugh, Vice Mayor. I'm a business guy, but I do calendar year. Okay. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Okay, I think we get where we're coming from here. I got a suggestion. Do you mind if I ask what everybody's willing to give?
Sure.
Anybody want to just say what they're willing to give, so we know? You want to go to the city. What are you willing to do, Louis?
How much do I have? Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I'm sorry. I don't even know what I have.
Ask Maxine.
Maxine's got me on a tight budget.
Me too.
Does it say somewhere?
Commissioner Llewellyn's got everything.
All kinds of stuff.
Oh, God, excuse me. Anyhow, what I was thinking was that, Commissioner Ryan brought up a point, and then, obviously we got to come out of our pocket. We didn't want to go to other funds and so on, but, if everybody had enough and we went to 10,000, each of us, the 5 of us put that out, maybe we could ask if the commission would vote on giving 5,000 out of the other fund instead of taking all 15 out of it. And, well, well, yeah, but you're taking money out of something else that we're transferring it back. And I mean, I'm trying to be spread the love.
I'm trying to be financially sound.
Okay, well, you guys know where I stand, so you guys figure it out and then tell her what you want to do. I'll do either way, whatever you guys want to work it out.
All righty. Commissioner Llewellyn.
I was just gonna say, I'm willing to do the 10,000, like I said, and we can figure out who, I'm trying to figure
So
out.
if we do 2,000 apiece, Vice Mayor, is that what you're saying? And
If we
then,
have 2,000 apiece.
I was asking for the 5,000 to come out of the other fund, but it is, Commissioner
like
Ryan
the idea
doesn't want to
of
do that.
I don't either. I don't like the idea of
She
that.
doesn't want either.
I just don't think it's appropriate. We just passed an ethics thing. I'm trying to stick within that. So like I said, if we can get to 10,000 and each, I think everybody has enough to do 2,000 apiece. And if we could do that, then I would be fine with that. Because I know there's also going to be other expenses that end up coming through the year once you are the president as well, because they're going to expect you to go other places. And my guess is that they're not paying for your travel, correct?
I don't know about the details until I actually become the president, so I don't have that information right now.
So that's, it ends up becoming a very expensive organization overall, and us supporting it, I just think if we need to, let's try to reel it in for this. And like I said, it's not like it's that much of a difference as far as what we're getting in exchange for it between the 10 and the 15. So if we left it at 10 and we could each do 2,000 apiece, that would be fine. If somebody doesn't have a full 2,000 in theirs, I'd be willing to cover that with mine, because I don't think I've spent that much on mine out of my contingency. So how's that?
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Llewellyn. I think we're gonna wind this down. I feel like Commissioner Ryan's gonna wrap us up here. Am I right?
Yeah, obviously I want to move forward, but I just want to verify. Jamie said we could take this out of our community grants fund.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can.
so why not?
And
I
we're
don't-
done,
I-
we're done submitting the grants.
Yeah,
Like if we still had grants that we're still giving out.
Commissioner Llewellyn going to call the OIG on us for this? I don't know. Just. I think this does benefit our city. It does benefit our city to have the president of the Broward League of Cities there. And if we want to be financially responsible, I think this is the best route to take. And it's setting a point that we have the president of the Florida League of Cities who want to be the biggest sponsor and the biggest supporter at their biggest event of the year for our mayor.
I agree with that, but,
It's their biggest event. It's not even the biggest sponsorship, no. But it's presidential, and she's the president. And whether it's 10,000 or 15,000, I think it should be taken out of our commission contingency fund, community grants fund. Yeah.
all right, let's move
So we
this
can
along.
let's make a
Guys,
decision on
I appreciate
that.
it. So we're gonna get to some resolution here. Can we
All
have
right, I'll make a motion for $15,000 out of our overall commission contingency community grants fund for the presidential sponsor, $15,000. Motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Do I have a second? Commissioner Llewellyn.
I actually have a question. So you mentioned that you wanted to have 2 tables of people there that are from the city supporting. That's not what 10 or 15,000 covers. That's what
I
20,000
believe that's what the
covers.
president would get is 2 tables. That's what I got in an email. So that's
That's not what it says in the backup that we were provided.
Those are just the regular. I believe that we would have 2 tables. I really do. I believe I have that in an email. That's part of being the president. Let me see.
That was my question. I declined to second.
Okay.
Second, Joyce. You can second it.
Second. I'm not supposed to second.
Hey, you allowed to.
Okay. All right. So, Let's just move on. I would like to get to a resolution, what you guys want to do, if we would just go ahead and take it. We have a motion on the table. Do I commit?
I'll second it.
All right, Commissioner Romoli will second it. Then let's go ahead and take it to a vote. Elora?
Commissioner Llewellyn,
And what was the motion?
For $15,000.
for 15,000 from the commission contingency.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? No, I thought it was from us. It's from our
From the commission.
individual.
No, the motion on the floor is for 15,000 from the commission contingency.
So then,
Rather come from us, not from the contingency.
So if you're not, then you would have to withdraw your second.
We can just vote no and get another vote if it doesn't pass.
okay, so let's.
All right, let's go ahead. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Yes or no? We don't have a second for commissioners to, for Commissioner Ryan to come out of the commission
I'll just do a
contingency.
second. Let's just do a second. I'll do the second. Go ahead.
All right, and we have a second from Commissioner Romoli. All right, come on, guys, we can do this. We have, for the record, Commissioner Romoli, you're
Yes.
doing a second. All right, so let's just do, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. So 3-2 passes. Done. All right.
That's enough.
Commissioner Llewellyn and Vice Mayor Salvino said no, and this comes out of the collective commission contingency funds. All right. All right, thank you. Whew. I hope you'll still come to the party. All right, no, it's not a party. It really is an installation of the Broward League of Cities, so I don't want to be curt about that. Let's move on to board appointments. Do not have any from me. Commission comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Llewellyn.
So, commission comments, lots of things going on, and it seems like everything happens on the same day anymore.
Thursday.
This coming Thursday in particular, I think I have 6 things on my calendar Thursday evening. Sunday, let me start with Saturday, because this past Saturday we had the barbecue, Blues and Barbecue, Day After Dark, last one of the season. Well attended, especially considering the fact that it was also Tortuga weekend and there were a lot of people in Fort Lauderdale, and there was also an event going on in Hollywood, I believe at Young Circle, that was also fairly well attended. So, and I know that we had a number of people in our city that were not necessarily residents. I had a few friends that came down. They actually asked me a couple of days before, and they said, "What's this Dania Beach barbecue, Blues and Barbecue thing? Is it any good?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's great. You should come." So they did. And I know everybody had a really good time, and like I said, very well attended. The weather was beautiful, and there were a lot of people there that are really into the blues and really enjoyed the music in particular. Never left once they sat down and stayed for the whole event. So I was glad to see that. Let's see, next, Sunday. Lots of things going on Sunday. I tried to get to the Dan Marino event, but I couldn't find parking anywhere. It was crazy. I literally went around about 6 times and I couldn't get parking, and I could see the mayor and Commissioner Romoli up there speaking, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to make it. So, in any event, but I did go to, and I know Commissioner Romoli is going to talk about this more, so I'm assuming about the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival issues. There was an influencers brunch at our IT Parker on Sunday that was really very nice, very elevated. People that normally would probably not be in Dania Beach, and loved the venue. They loved the venue. They were outside taking pictures. They were inside taking pictures. It was just very well done, and it definitely gave a lot of exposure to this city and to our event spaces. I look forward to seeing more things like that, and I do think that we're going to get. I mean, there were thousands of people looking at these posts on social media that were tagging Dania Beach, tagging IT Parker, really bringing so much attention to us in a good way. So I'm really happy to see that, and I hope to see it continue. I also stopped by the Newburgh Swanson House briefly. They had the Historic Society had a little open house over there on Sunday as well, and it was it was very nice. I actually ran into some people on the street who were looking at the little plaque out there and reading about whatever, and they were about to walk away, and I'm like, no, come inside. You must come see the whole house, and you'll get a little tour and the whole thing. And I know there were several other people that were in there as well. So it was a very nice event. Apparently some people did not know about it, so we need to make sure that that's getting out to everybody so that we can all promote it. But anyway, and I know they do these open houses once in a while, and if you do have time and there is an open house going on, I strongly suggest that you go by and check it out, because it's a nice piece of history for everyone to enjoy in our lovely city. With that, I really don't have anything else. I hope everyone had a nice Easter and Passover, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Llewellyn. Commissioner Romoli.
Thank you, Mayor. So first I want to thank Sergio Pelissar, Chief, for the invitation to the ESO stakeholders meeting. That was really interesting to go through that along with our deputy manager. And then he took me over to show me the new building, which I had never seen before, and got to meet Sheriff Tony. It was really quite a beautiful building that they have over there. So thank you, Chief Pelissar, for that. Dania After Dark, you guys blew it out of the water again. Even though the Blues is my biggest, my favorite event of the series of Dania After Darks, it was still well done, beautifully done, and well attended, considering there were so much things going on in our city and around our city. Sunday, the influencers lunch Lori was talking about, Commissioner Luana was talking about. We have to thank one of our residents here in Dania Beach, Lily Skipper, for hosting that. She was actually the sponsor, the main sponsor of that. The city of Dania Beach is sponsoring the gala this coming Thursday night. It was really a very nicely done event. And like Commissioner Luana was saying, there are quite a few posts out there on social media tagging Dania Beach and the IT Parker Center. I think we need to name it the IT Parker Event Center because it really is a great venue, and both inside and out, plenty of parking, and everybody raved about it. Also, thank you for Yavalka for being there as well. It's nice to have our CRA present at the influencer brunch. I think you had a good time, didn't you? You had a lot of people, so it's nice. Thank you for being there. Then on tomorrow, well, I guess it's tomorrow at 11:30, believe it or not, I'm on a fashion panel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at New U Studio. With this Fort Lauderdale Fashion Week, I'll be on a panel of 6 people, and I don't know what to wear.
I'll help you.
But I'll figure something out. I know. Isn't that crazy?
That's
Anyhow,
great.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Shoes, hair, makeup, I don't know, but it'll be something. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Ryan. I'm done. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. You'll figure it out. Commissioner Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. I've never done this before. I haven't made a public statement about this, but I want to dedicate my public comments to Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer. It's beautiful what you did to start the meeting, Mayor. I know that a lot of us knew her personally. I served on the Solid Waste Authority with her for the last 3 years, and I saw her probably 2 to 3 times a month, and then see each other up in Tallahassee. She graduated from FAMU. She had a lot of influence up in FAMU. The mayor of Tallahassee visited us here, dropped in on us yesterday, and she had an impact on him all the way up in Tallahassee. And they're mourning up in Tallahassee. They're mourning through the whole state of Florida. And it's a grieving process that us in our little circle of elected officials are kind of going through, and my thoughts and prayers go out to the whole city commission over in Coral Springs and to her entire family. She was, like you said, a shining star. She was a young elected official. She was 38, I was 36, so we always got along with each other, and we always talked about fresh ideas, and I could really lean on her on certain issues, and for something like this to happen is just extremely tragic, and there's no other word I can use to describe it. And I can't believe I'm talking about it, but I wanted to publicly state that she was my friend, and she was a wonderful leader, and definitely going to miss her. And it's up to us to remember her and how we lead and how we treat one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Vice Mayor?
No comments tonight. I saved my time for you, Mayor.
Well, I am on the same page as Commissioner Ryan. I did want to, even though I said my comments at the beginning, I just wanted to mention how Vice Mayor Nancy Mateer and I met, and we were both academics and environmental people. And so I met her at the first Florida League of Cities Institute for Elected Municipal Officials. And whenever we saw each other, it was always about how much can we learn. We were committed to being lifelong learners. And we were sitting at a table, and they were giving us scenarios of how we would run our cities, as we became, in our new roles. And we were so excited to be brand new commissioners together. And on the last day that I saw her, we were back at the Broward League of Cities getting scenarios, talking about dignity and leading with dignity and integrity. And so the first day I met her and the last day I met her was all about how we could become better public servants and how we could serve our people better. And from that, I did not know on that Friday, but I had brought you all a gift from that meeting, because it was about, I think, City Manager, that you did the Dignity Index, and I think you might have done that with your team, but that's what the Broward League of Cities did with our elected officials. So each one of you gets a little reminder from that day. And it says, lead with integrity and govern with dignity. And I had brought that, but it's a little commemorative reminder for all of us. And I have more. I will give everyone one. I just, at the time, I didn't have it. And it's also a stress reliever. So if Vice Mayor gets on your nerves, you can remember the dignity that we need to have in government. But I just thought it was such a beautiful way, and that was how I'm going to remember her, because she was a shining example of dignity and integrity, and we need to remember to do that. And I am so grateful that this commission really does, even if we don't agree, that this commission has been very, very professional, and we have led, and our discussions are very dignified. And so I thank all of you for your leadership in being able to do that. So thank you. And I think I went to so many events, but I'm going to save them for the next commission meeting. So get ready for a very long, but the last thing I will say is that Nancy and I also love the environment. We love Earth Day. We love preserving and being environmental stewards. So please come on out to our Earth Day celebration on April 20th. And thank you guys. And let's take care of Mother Earth, and let's take care of each other. Have a good night.